For our first speaker, we have Matthew, a fourth-year computer science and finance major, originally from the Bay Area. On campus, he's a member of the Huntington 100 and a former president of the Pi Delta Psi. After navigating major life transitions and personal challenges, Matthew became passionate about turning Solitude into an opportunity for growth. Outside of his studies, he's an avid chef, cafe connoisseur, and enjoys mentoring fellow students. Today, he'll share how his experiences taught him to find confidence and purpose alone.
So I recently saw a statistic that really changed the way that I saw myself. It comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it shows the divide between the amount of time that you spend alone compared to the amount of time that you spend with other people as you get older. I know for the introverts in the audience, this is probably a great thing, but for the rest of us, it is an unfortunate reality that we have to face. So I used to hate spending time alone, but I try to distract myself with anything that I could, staying busy, doom scrolling, or trying to keep a busy schedule. But this busy image kept me away from myself and facing the reality of being alone. So looking back at this statistic, it wasn't just an abstract number, but an actual situation that I was dealing with at the moment. My relationship had ended. My work schedule was packed, and I couldn't really see any of my friends. I tried to avoid this loneliness with endless distractions, and none of it made me feel any better. I remember there was this one specific night that really stood out to me. I was in bed, doom scrolling for a couple hours, and I sat up. I looked at the time. 3 hours had gone by just like that, and I didn't remember a single thing that I saw or watched. And in that moment, I had this feeling of dread come all over me. And I was surrounded by thousands of connections online, but I still felt very alone. And what really scared me was not the fact that I was alone, but it was the fact that I had to sit down and face my own feelings, not really knowing what to do with them. So that's when I knew that things had to change. It wasn't tomorrow, it wasn't the next week, but rather that exact moment. And what struck me too was the fact that it wasn't just my story, but it's our collective reality as a whole. The world is overflowing with distractions, and on average, people spend 2.5 hours each day on social media. Despite our world being more connected than any previous generations, 1 in 5 people still report feeling lonely, often or always. And even as digital connection increases and we are able to connect with other people in more and more ways, our face-to-face interactions actually diminish, and the feelings of isolation constantly increase. So all of that distraction took a toll on me, and I felt restless and anxious. I wasn't present, and I was always looking for the next way to fill in that void. So I started to wonder, if I'm the person who's supposed to know myself the best, then why am I so uncomfortable being alone? Why was it so hard to ask myself the simplest questions of who am I, what drives me, and what do I want to work for? So I realized that many of us avoid these questions, using technology, busyness, or other people as shields. But eventually, these shields fall away, and we become exposed to ourselves. Yet in the midst of this discomfort, I've discovered an unexpected opportunity, which was that solitude could actually become a spark for growth. So it started with a shift in mindset, and I felt lost without a sense of purpose. I desperately wanted to change, but I didn't know how. So I remembered a book that I read a while ago, which is Atomic Habits by James Clear. In that, it taught me that lasting change isn't about willpower, but rather about understanding who you want to become and building the systems to revolve your life around them. Now, the best part about having solitude is giving yourself the space and time to ask yourself those big questions and answer them honestly. Before I could build any new habits, I had to understand who I actually wanted to be. I had to ask myself these hard questions of who am I, what do I want to do, and what do I want to achieve. In my solitude, I realized that I had to climb out of my shell and grow intentionally. So one thing that I wanted to do was to become more athletic. And I absolutely hated running at the moment, but it was something that I knew how to do. You can't be athletic and not run. It's just something that doesn't add up. I struggled to keep that habit at first. And it's really difficult to do the things that you don't enjoy. But I learned that the secret to it is commitment. So when you truly commit, there's no easy way to turn back. And when you put your skin into the game, it's the first step where you have to challenge yourself to figure things out because you can't back out at that moment. So I signed up for the Boston Marathon 5K, and even the registration process was already intimidating. But by making it public, by putting my name down, and just being able to run the event, it made it real. And I made it a challenge to myself, not just to finish, but to be able to pursue and achieve anything that I put my mind to. So crossing that finish line changed my confidence in ways that I never would have expected. Now, even after the 5K, I didn't feel 100% confident with myself. So I decided to double down, and I took a week abroad in Copenhagen alone. It was a leap into the unknown, but it forced me to really live in the present and rely entirely on myself. I learned how to reconnect with strangers, I learned how to cherish peace and quiet, and to savor new experiences without worrying about the judgment of other people. I had planned to visit this art museum called the Louisiana Museum on my second day of the trip, but when I got there, I decided that I really wanted to take it slow. And it felt like I had free will to be able to walk around and explore surroundings, even taking the chance to people watch. So it was the first time where I didn't feel like I was forced to do anything that I didn't truly enjoy. And something shifted. For the first time in years, I stopped performing my life and actually started to live it. I wasn't trying to optimize every moment or force myself to do something that I didn't enjoy. And it really reflected on my own personality and the way I saw myself. For the first time, I was being just present. But the most powerful practice that I discovered on my trip was journaling. And for the first time, I gave myself permission to slow down and actually write out the thoughts and the chaos that were in my head. In random moments of the trip, I would just sit down and write. I would write about anything. I would write about my feelings of being alone, of trying to learn a new country and a new culture. And other days, I would write about any sort of observations that I had throughout the day, or any experiences like my conversations with strangers while cafe hopping. And in that moment, I saw that I was able to share these ideas with myself and with myself only. So journaling isn't just about documenting what happens each and every day. It's a way for you to make sense of your thoughts, process your emotions, and challenge your own assumptions. It gave me a way to reflect honestly away from the expectations of other people. So what surprised me the most was actually rereading my entries. I started to notice patterns. What drained me, what excited me, and I also noticed some fears that kept showing up. I could see how my growth was happening in real time, and even on the tough days, when I felt lonely or doubted myself, rereading my entries gave me a reminder that I was capable of facing these hard things. Journaling helped me turn alone time from something that was scary into a tool for self-discovery. And by the end of the week, I wasn't the same person who boarded that plane. So through experimenting with practices, committing to new challenges, traveling solo, and journaling, I was able to take small steps towards my bigger goal, which was becoming a more resilient and intentional version of myself. Now, everyone's growth is different and definitely not linear, but amongst everything that I've experimented with, here are the ones that I found to be the most effective. Journaling. So journaling was definitely my #1 practice. It gave me much needed clarity that I didn't have before and helped me become more self-aware of myself and my feelings. Now, writing things down allowed me to relieve my stress, organize my thoughts, and keep track of my personal growth over time. #2 would be to take yourself out on intentional dates. Dates are hard to come by, so might as well take yourself out. And these experiences taught me how to be more comfortable in my own company and boosted my own independence. By choosing activities that I actually wanted to do, I found that I could spark my creativity and discover a new sense of freedom. Third would be to build your own skills. Practicing things like cooking or working on public speaking forced me to become more resourceful and disciplined. This skill building became fulfilling for me, and it made me realize that I could do things on my own. So even if you're just starting and it feels awkward, pick one practice and stick with it. And over time, you'll notice shifts. It isn't just in your habits, but it's in your mindset and your confidence and the way that you see yourself. Now, I also want to be honest about what didn't work, because there was plenty of that. And one of the biggest things was trying to force myself to meditate every day for 30 minutes. I wish I could tell you guys a success story, but I only got to day 2 and I dropped it completely. I was too ambitious and I was too fast, and I wasn't able to completely transform myself overnight. Another thing that I did was trying to delete all social media. And I think I do enjoy doom scrolling, so that in itself makes it really difficult to delete everything and keep up with other people's lives. So I also gave up and I re-downloaded everything. So here's what I learned. You can't hate yourself into growth, and you definitely can't shame yourself into enjoying solitude. What worked for me was starting ridiculously small. It wasn't about running a marathon, but it was about signing up for a race. And it definitely wasn't about traveling the world alone, but just booking a couple of days. It wasn't about journaling for a couple hours each day, but just a few sentences. See, the goal isn't about perfection, but it's about momentum. It's proving to yourself that you can do these hard things, even when nobody's watching. And it's staying disciplined, even when things are really difficult. So the lessons that I learned from solitude have truly transformed me. I know myself better, and I'm aware of what genuinely excites me and what drains me. Solitude has taught me to be resilient, and when challenges come up, I trust in my own ability to handle them and rise on top. I've adopted a growth mindset and have been able to see every uncomfortable experience as a chance to reset, reflect, and grow. What used to trigger anxiety, like eating dinner alone, or trying something new without backup, or even making a tough decision without asking other people, now feels empowering. And I now recognize that being alone isn't something to fear, but it's an invitation to grow. The discomfort that you're feeling is a sign that you're stretching well past your limits and into a space where this change can happen. So instead of viewing alone time as an empty void to run away from, view it as fertile ground. It's where you can plant the seeds of self-improvement and resilience and creativity. Every great accomplishment starts with somebody daring to reset, reflect, build, and grow, even when nobody's watching. So it's inevitable. As we move through life, we're going to spend more time by ourselves, no matter how connected our world seems to be. The real question is, what will you do with that time? You can use your alone time to escape, distract, or hide from discomfort. Or you can use that as an opportunity to learn who you are and grow in ways that you've never imagined. So think about it. With so much alone time forecasted into your future, will you let it pass by you, or will you challenge yourself? Will you sink, or will you swim? So here's why this matters now more than ever. We're lonelier more than ever, despite being more connected than any other previous generation. But what most people miss is this. The answer isn't just about finding more connection. It's about learning how to be alone well. So here's the reality. We're going to spend more time by ourselves, whether you like it or not. Remote work definitely isn't disappearing. Technology evolves every single day. Our friends will move away, they'll start their families, and they'll live their own lives. And the trend that I showed you earlier from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that definitely isn't going away. The time that we spend with other people decreases as we get older. So you have a choice. You can treat your alone time like something to avoid by filling it with distractions, endless scrolling to try to numb the discomfort, or you can turn it into your greatest asset and opportunity for growth. So most people are preparing for a future where we're even more connected. But I'm inviting everybody for a future that will be more solitary, and to use that solitude with intention. Because if you do, you won't just survive. You'll thrive in ways that people who constantly need company cannot. You may not get to choose how much time you spend alone, but you get to choose what you do with that time. Are you going to let it pass by you and become someone you barely recognize? Or will you use it to grow into the person that you've always wanted to become? So here's my invitation, to take one moment of solitude this week to reflect, to journal, or try something new. To ask yourself the hard questions of who you are, what do you really care about, and what do you want to achieve in your life? So remember, you alone have the power to reshape your mindset, build the resilience, and move closer towards your goals. So you can leave today not afraid of time alone, but empowered by what it holds. So the journey starts with a single step. The question is, what will your step be?
Thank you, Matthew, for that speech. Let's give it up one more time for Matthew, guys.